Talking with the experts.
Sandy Forster went from wealthy to millionaire, and now she is going to tell us about how business mindset is so important for your business.
So our brain, if it had to take in every little single solitary thing when you open your eyes, our brains couldn't cope. They would literally short circuit. So to keep us sane, our reticular activating system filters out everything that's not important, just filters it out so we don't see it, don't hear it, it's just not there. And it's only when we consciously make an effort to really look for it that we see it. So what happens is we can actually train our reticular activating system. We can train our brain as to what is important so that instead we begin to see it. So right now, for instance, when I had no money and I was really struggling, what happened for me was I would be constantly thinking about how I had no money, how I couldn't do the things that I wanted to do. I had all these debts and where was the money coming from? And oh my gosh. And so I was actually training my brain that, because I was putting a lot of emotion and thought into not having money. So I was training my brain that not having money was really important.
Welcome to Talking with the Experts. This is where we discuss great ideas to take your business to the next level. How do we know these ideas work? Well, it's because we're talking with business owners who are using these ideas. Business owners who have years of experience and expertise. All things business by business owners for business owners. And now, here is your host, Rose Davidson.
Hello and welcome to Talking with the Experts. I'm your host, Rose Davidson from rosedavidson.com. Talking with the Experts is about all things business by business owners for business owners. You can find it on all good podcasting streaming platforms and on YouTube. Today, my guest is Sandy Forster, and we're going to be talking about how she went from being on welfare to being a millionaire. And when it comes to business, money, mindset, these things are really, really so important. And you can spend all your time doing the doing, but if you don't have the right mindset for success, then you will be spinning your wheels just like a car stuck in the mud. Sandy is the money mindset mentor for women worldwide who are ready to experience more abundance and freedom in their life. She went from welfare to millionaire, being featured in Oprah's Aussie Secret, and loves inspiring, empowering women to break through their blocks. Welcome, Sandy. Sandy, thank you so much for joining me. How did you go from welfare to millionaire, and how did it all happen?
Wow, what a story. Okay, so basically what happened is I live on the beautiful Sunshine Coast here in Queensland, Australia. And I went to Reticular High School. I met a boy when I was 15. We went out for 11 years. We got married. I had 2 kids, a 3-year-old and a 6-month-old, and we split up. And suddenly the business that I had at the time, which was just designing and sewing all this beautiful swim and gym wear, was just a hobby. It was like literally just a hobby business. Suddenly it had to become my main source of income. And I did not do any good. Like, I was just so bad at business. I liked the designing and the sewing and the fabric and the colors, but the actual business side of it, hopeless. And so I ended up $100,000 in debt, and I was receiving welfare from the government, which at the time was about $15,000 a year. That's Australian dollars. So for anyone in the US that's listening, it's about $7,500 US dollars a year.
Yeah, it's not a lot, trust me.
Oh, it was tragic. So anyone on welfare, you don't get ahead. You just go further and further behind every day. So it was so stressful. It was like I felt like such a crummy mummy. You know, my kids, every time they asked for something, the answer had to be no. I couldn't even buy them a packet of chips or an ice cream when we went down the street. Like, literally had to be no for everything. It was really not a fun time. But very luckily, I discovered a course that was based on the law of attraction. Now, 2 amazing things happened from that. First of all, I discovered the law of attraction. For people that don't know what that is, it's basically what you think about and focus on and where you put your attention is what you then tend to attract back into your life. So I discovered that, but it also had a kind of a business wrapped around it. And I fell in love with the course, and I decided to do it as a business. So I would share the information about the course, and I started to make good money. It was really a really exciting time. And so I was making some money, and I was learning more about the law of attraction. I was applying it in my life. And then the person who owned the global marketing rights to the course had a dispute with the printer because the printer had stuffed up the printing. And so the printer said, well, I'm not going to print them again until you pay me for the first lot. And they said, well, we're not going to pay you for the first lot because it's stuffed up. We're not going to pay you until you reprint it. And basically we had no product to sell for, first it was a month, then 2 months, then 3 months, and 4 months, and it ended up being like 8 months. And when you're in a direct sales business, 8 months without a product, you don't have a business anymore. So I was back to not having any income. But what I did discover around that time was a thing called coaching, which everyone knows about now. But back then it was really new. And I loved the idea of being able to work from home and choose your own hours and work in the personal development industry. And, I just really fell in love with that whole idea. And I went through some coach training. I had to borrow the money to go through coach training, but I really loved it so much. And I ended up, from there, things just started to happen. I was using the law of attraction in my coaching business. I was learning about internet marketing, which kind of blew my mind. Because, previously having been in a business where I was designing and manufacturing swim and gym wear, I had to actually do advertising, as in magazine advertising, TV advertising, and the costs were astronomical. And also having an actual store that I had to rent, I had to pay rent for, and I had to stock that store with so much stock and swimwear and the amount of money tied up there. And then I had staff that had to work in the store and all these expenses. And suddenly I've got an online business, which zero expenses, except I think, what was it, $10 a month for website hosting. It was like unbelievable. I loved it. And so I was able to build a coaching business really easily and quickly. And then from there, basically my accountant came to me and said, look, I know you've had some success with direct selling. I've just found something. It's linked to Rob Kiyosaki's real estate mentor, Dr. Dolph DeRue's. Would you be interested in doing it? And I was like, oh, no, I don't want to do any direct sales anymore. She said, look, I don't want to talk to anyone about the product, but I've got a whole database. And how about you talk to them? You don't have to go and find anyone to talk to. You can just talk to them about this product. And I was like, oh, okay. So anyway, we started that. And literally within a few months, I was making more money than anything, and I came up with the idea for something called Wildly Wealthy Women, which took that education product and we wrapped a whole mentoring course around it. So people got the home study course, and then we had monthly calls with them, or actually I think it was weekly calls with them, where I did all the mindset, she did all the practical side of wealth creation. And women loved it. We had Wildly Wealthy Women's Wicked Weekends where we would get together a few times a year, and it was really a lot of fun. It was just, I think, and this is a guess, I might be wrong, but I'm pretty certain it was the first women's only mentoring program in the world. And obviously now every man and his dog has women's mentoring programs. But back then, this is 2003, I think we launched that. It was really new to the whole sort of online mentoring space, and being all women, it was just amazing. It was really cool. And that idea alone made me in the first year, I think it was close to about $2 million. So that was my first kind of foray into the online field, and that was my first kind of jump into creating something that was online and marketing it online. And yeah, did really well out of that. And then, from there, I've had other ideas that have literally just made me millions of dollars. And so I still don't consider myself to be a business person, like an actual businesswoman. I just feel like I'm someone who is creative, who comes up with ideas, who is probably a bit too stupid to stop and think the idea through and just goes for it. And very lucky that some of those ideas work out really well. And yeah, so I've gone on since then to create, lots of different products and programs online. And I have a actually training and certification program where I internationally certify people to become law of attraction coaches so they can start their own coaching business. So got lots of amazing things, and I feel really, really lucky and really blessed that it all started with mindset and then incorporating internet marketing, and all went from there.
Yeah, mindset is so important. I mean, and the law of attraction, I know people think it's a bit woo-woo, but trust me, it isn't. I mean, I've attracted so much to me in the last couple of weeks because I put my intention out to the universe and didn't ask for anything. I just put the intention out there, and it's just, my God, I've been overwhelmed with blessings in this last couple of weeks. It's just amazing.
Yeah. And that's the thing I tell people that my students are constantly attracting and creating and manifesting money miracles. And it just seems like a miracle. Like suddenly the bank will ring someone up and say, oh, we're forgiving your loan. You don't owe us that $30,000 anymore. Or, suddenly someone who owed you money from 10 years ago, suddenly it shows up that you thought you would never get it back. Like all these just little things that just happen out of the blue. But it really is a matter of when you set your intention and you get really clear on what you want and you allow the universe to bring it to you, miracles can happen.
Absolutely. I haven't got the wealth yet, but I've got all the other things that I sent the intention for. So yeah, I can't believe it. And it's not luck. Trust me. It's just it's your mindset. It's the vibration that you send out to the universe. It's all energy. If you have a positive mindset, then the positive things will come back to you. And it's whether you believe it or you don't, it actually works. So,
but the thing is, and I think a lot of people don't understand, it seems very woo-woo and out there, but it's also based in science.
It is.
So, we have a part of our brain that filters in and filters out what we consider to be important. And so it's called the reticular activating system. It's at the base of the skull. And what happens is, if I said to you right now, okay, what can you see? Like for me personally, if someone said, what can you see? I could say, well, I see a desk and I see a computer and I see a light and I see a fan and I see windows, and I look out the windows, I can see my spring-fed dam, and in the distance I can actually see a kangaroo eating the grass, and I can see trees. But then if I was actually going to go into real detail, there's a tree and there's different shades of bark on it and different shades of leaves and different sizes, and there's spider webs and there's blah, 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 blah. Like I could literally tell you a million different things. And so our brain, if it had to take in every little single solitary thing when you open your eyes, our brains couldn't cope. They would literally short circuit. So to keep us sane, our reticular activating system filters out everything that's not important, just filters it out so we don't see it, don't hear it, it's just not there. And it's only when we consciously make an effort to really look for it that we see it. So what happens is we can actually train our reticular activating system. We can train our brain as to what is important so that instead we begin to see it. So right now, for instance, when I had no money and I was really struggling, what happened for me was I would be constantly thinking about how I had no money, how I couldn't do the things that I wanted to do. I had all these debts and where was the money coming from? And oh my gosh. And so I was actually training my brain that, because I was putting a lot of emotion and thought into not having money. So I was training my brain that not having money was really important. So when I went out into the world, what did I see? More things that showed me that I had no money and I was broke and I couldn't do this and I couldn't do that. But when I discovered the law of attraction, yes, the woo-woo part, but then also discovered the scientific part, I was like, okay, I will train my brain that having money is important. So I thought about the things that I wanted to bring into my life. I thought about having a beautiful home. I thought about being able to travel. I thought about having someone to come in and clean my house a couple of times a month. I thought about all the things that really made my heart sing. Focused on those things all the time. And then what happens when you go out into the world, suddenly my brain is filtering out all the things that aren't important and allowing me to see the opportunities and the circumstances and the situations and the connections. And I get the phone call and I get the email and I read this book and I hear about this course, all the things that allow me to create the success and attract and have the things that I want, because I've trained my brain what's important. So it's really, really vital that you understand that when you're sitting around scrolling through social media or watching the news or just spending time looking at the crapola that's going on in the world, you're actually training your brain that these things are important. It's almost like training Facebook. So when you're on Facebook and you see things and you stop and you look at it, there's an algorithm behind the scenes that says, oh, this is important to this person. We'll show them more of that in social media. And so then when you open Facebook next time, you see the same thing. So you start to build this online reality for you. But do you realize you're actually doing that in real life by what you're focusing on, thinking about? The universe is then creating, and your brain is then creating this reality for you. But you can switch it, you can change it by how you train your brain as to what is important. So it will filter out all those other things and show you the things that will help you to create and manifest and attract the things that you desire.
Absolutely. Absolutely correct. Yes, I was helping out with a Law of Attraction Summit a couple of weeks ago, and we had some amazing speakers on there, and yeah, they didn't explain it quite as well as you did. And thank you for sharing that, because it was actually, yeah, it was really easy to understand. And for those that didn't understand Law of Attraction, now will.
Very good.
Sandy, tell me a little bit about your podcast and your book.
Yeah, so my book I wrote back in 2004. How to Be Wildly Wealthy Fast. And it's really just jam-packed with all my prosperity secrets, all the things that I do to manifest. It's just filled with, tools and processes and exercises and tips. And I've actually, right this moment, I have just finished editing the newest edition. So it's just gone off to the typesetter. It's going to be up on Amazon in the next couple of weeks. And for the first time in my life, I'm actually going to create the Audible book. So people who like to listen can listen to it. But yeah, that's a book I'm really proud of. I always say to people, if you've got the opportunity, write a book, because that book, yes, it was great to write. And yes, I've sold a lot of them, but the way I wrote it was so that it encouraged people, it drew people back to my website for all the freebies that I offer in the book. And so it's been what I call my big business card. It's the thing that draws people to me all the time, because I do absolutely zero paid marketing. I do nothing to build my business, but it just keeps going along because my book is out there and it just draws people. Because if anyone reads the book and they love what's in there, they automatically want more of you. So a book is a really great way to build a business. And then obviously, once you've got a book, you can create other products and programs that allow people to spend more than whatever a book costs. And that's where you actually make money if you have a business. And then the other thing that I love doing is my podcast, the Wildly Wealthy Women podcast. And it's all things money, manifesting, and mindset. And I actually had a little bit of a break for a while because I was looking after my dad, who was having a bit of a health challenge. He's 95. And we finally
yes, at that age, yes, you could expect those.
Yes, exactly. And we found out from the government that he can get certain support, but then there was the whole COVID was happening and there was no one around. And so I was trying to look after him, and it was just really challenging. And then we were told, he could get into an assisted living place, but it could take 6 months, a year, or whatever. Anyway, as it turned out, it only took a couple of weeks because, the universe, I took him out to the place that he wanted. We did speed dating of assisted living places on the Sunshine Coast because they were going to close the doors at a certain point. If you weren't vaccinated, you couldn't get in. So we did speed dating. He chose the one that he absolutely loved. We made a sign that said home sweet home. I took him to that place. He stood out the front with his big sign. I took the photo and said, okay, you've got to focus on this every day. You've got to look at it. And literally within a couple of weeks, he got a place. So it was really, really cool to see that it doesn't matter how old you are, the law of attraction can work for you.
Absolutely.
So,
yes,
yeah,
I totally 100% agree.
I know, it just doesn't matter. Like people think I'm too old, I'm this, I'm that. It's like, no. You just got to think that it's possible. But anyway, what I was getting at was the podcast. I started it last year and I stopped around October when Dad started having these health issues. And then I never started it back up again, but I'm starting it next week again. So thank goodness, because I've got so many different ideas for podcast episodes. And every day when I'm walking along the beach, I've got my phone and in my voice memos, I've got memo about, I'm going to do a podcast about this and a podcast about that and a podcast about the other. So people are going to be overwhelmed with the amount of podcasts that I'm
Well, congratulations and well done.
Thank you.
Sandy, where can people find you if they'd like to know more about the law of attraction or they might want to work with you?
The easiest way is just go to wildlywealthy.com. But you know what? If listeners want to get a little kickstart when it comes to manifesting and attracting abundance, I've actually got a Wildly Wealthy bundle they can have for free. It's a guided visualization and some affirmations, and they can go to wildlywealthyfree.com.
Excellent. Thank you. That's a very generous offer.
Mm-hmm.
And please take advantage of it, listeners and viewers, because you won't regret it. Trust me. Sandy, have you got any last words of wisdom that you'd like to share with us today?
I think the thing that I'd really like to share with people is, often people say, oh, well, the law of attraction or quantum science or, it's not going to work for me. But I want people to know that I dropped out of school in grade 11. I didn't even finish high school. I had no connections, no one I knew who had money. I couldn't get any help from anyone. I had no great skills. But when I discovered the law of attraction, I fell in love with it. I used it in my life. I discovered neuroscience and quantum physics, and I used that. And I have literally, as I said, transformed my life from welfare to millionaire. So I believe if I can do it, anyone can do it. So just know that when you really put your mind to it, you can create miracles too.
Thank you. Yes, and you can. And it's open and available to everyone who wants to take the time to delve into it and to believe that it will happen.
Absolutely.
All right, Sandy, thank you so much for joining me today. And I do look forward to talking with you again very soon.
Thank you so much for having me. Bye-bye.
You've been listening to Talking with the Experts, hosted by Rose Davidson. Make sure you have a look at our back catalogue over at talkingwiththeexperts.com. And be sure to subscribe to our podcast so you don't miss out on any episode. We look forward to your company next time. Talking with the Experts.